Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video, I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale 1957 Ford Thunderbird made by Yatming Road Signatures. I got this model off of eBay for $20 plus shipping. I think it ended up only being like $25 or something. I got it loose. It didn't come with like a box. I don't usually get loose models, but in the case of this one, it was in pretty much flawless condition, and the seller of it had, some pretty good ratings and all that. And it gives me one less box to have to store. So this will probably go on like my closet shelf that I have with like my loose models on it. I do have a couple spaces left for, loose 1/18 scale cars back there. But Yatming, I think, is still making this particular model. They've made it for quite some time now. I think it first came out in 2000, but it's come in a variety of different colors and everything. Like, for example, you have this really awesome red with the white top that you see here. The paint color is actually called Flame Red on the real T-Bird. It's also come in the kind of a light blue, sort of like a periwinkle blue, a green called Willow Green. I think also white and black too. I think there is a yellow version as well. I could be like missing some more colors. Oh, and also a dark blue. But yeah, a wide variety of colors and everything, and Yatming's made it for quite some time. It's fairly easy to find one of these on eBay for a reasonable price. Loose versions like the one I got here can go anywhere between $10 and $30, and versions kind of mint in box can go anywhere between, $20 and $50, depending on like what color it is and the overall condition of both the model and the box. But and as you already know, I also have the 1955 Thunderbird, also made by Yatming. So I think it is really cool to kind of have both the years of this first generation, or two of the years, I should say, because they did make a 1956 T-Bird, of course. But I think it's cool to have, the 55 and the 57 both in my collection. And Yatming, I think, does accurately model the differences that you would have seen on the real cars, too. In terms of 1956 Thunderbirds and 1/18 scale, Yatming did not make one, but you can find either the Revell or the Motormax version of the 56 T-Bird. But overall, I think the overall detailing on the 57 pretty much aligns well with the 55 that Yatming also made, and I'll kind of compare the, light differences you see on both models throughout. But we'll go ahead and get into the details of the model here. We'll start up here with the front. Awesome job with this front grille, I would say. It looks like it's actually like a separate piece with like full perforations, but it's actually not. It's actually just a full plastic chrome piece. Looks like it's made of metal, but it's actually not. And these don't actually go all the way through, but they seem like they do. All the different holes you see in this front grille, but I think they did a really, kind of convincing good job of this front grille here. It is kind of molded as one single piece with the bumper, which I think is fine because it is actually a very sturdy bumper, unlike my 55 T-Bird that I had to glue the bumper back onto after some time. You actually do have lower turn signals down here. They're molded, it looks like in red for some odd reason. They do have a peg in each one, but I don't think that's really a big deal. At least they're not, painted on. And the headlights look very well done too, much like their 55 version. You have kind of a nice texture on the lenses. There is a peg in the center of each one, but of course that would be where the light bulb would be, so not a big deal, I would say. The Thunderbird badge was changed for the 1957 model year, and Yatming does accurately portray the badge on the front here. It's kind of a Thunderbird with the inscription in the center, which looks very well done. Paint quality on this model, I would say, is pretty good, though there is some orange peel here and there, though it's pretty much impossible to see unless you have like direct light shining on it. This is likely an older version of the model. I think more recent versions of this Yatming T-Bird model probably have better paint because they have improved on their details and paint over the years, much like, Maisto and Brago and these other, budget brands have as they make more models over time. Taking a look at the side, you see this Thunderbird inscription up here, which looks very well done in this kind of silver paint. And you have this front, I don't know if it's like a grill or an intake or what, but it's actually a separately cast plastic piece, which is very cool to see. They could have just painted it on or left it out entirely, but they actually put it on as a separate piece. Wheels look well done too. Kind of wish the spokes were kind of more three-dimensional looking, or look more like true spokes. It's just kind of one single chrome mold on here. So Yatming isn't one for making really, well-detailed wheels on their models in terms of like, more fine, sculpting and detailing and all that. So the overall shape is accurate, and you do actually have the Ford printing on either side of this center hub here. But I wish the spokes were kind of done as more spokes instead of like just kind of molded in chrome. But the wheels do look good nonetheless. And you do have the nice white wall tires as well, which is accurate to the 1957 model. You have a side mirror on here. Very sturdy. It looks pretty much just like the one on the 55. And a nice separately cast chrome door handle back here too. Now taking a look at the back, you'll notice this large spare tire, or Continental kit as it is known. Now, 1957 Thunderbirds did not actually come stock with this Continental kit. 56 models did, but for the 57 model and 55 model, you could have gotten this as like an aftermarket sort of addition to your Thunderbird. So it's not necessarily, I guess, extremely accurate, but it's possible to have a Continental kit on a 57. And a lot of models of the 57s that I've seen in different scales and from different manufacturers include the Continental kit. So I was kind of surprised to learn that that was actually not a stock feature on the 57 model, but you could get it certainly. So I wouldn't say it's really inaccurate for the model. It's just an extra, I guess, add-on. Like if this were a real Thunderbird, it would have been an extra add-on by whoever owned it, if that makes sense. But aside from that, the Continental kit looks very well done. And the bumper that actually sticks out, this is actually a full like metal piece too, save for the chrome part, of course. That's actually plastic, but it's actually very well molded on there. The actual spare tire portion is actually a separately cast plastic piece, but this looks like it's made of metal because it's actually like the same paint that you see on the red portions. And you have a nice Thunderbird badge going across the middle there, which looks very well done. And I do love this kind of chrome trim on here too. Yatming does do a great job with these taillights back here. In 1957, the Thunderbird's taillights kind of became more angled. They weren't, straight up and down like you saw on the 56 and 55 versions. As you'll see here, these are kind of straight up and down, more kind of simple looking taillights. On here, they're kind of more angled, more sculpted, I guess. You have kind of like the fins going on a little bit back here too, but Yatming, I think, accurately represented these kind of cool taillights. This is probably my favorite year of the Thunderbird, just because it has the really cool taillights, and especially if it came with the aftermarket Continental kit too. Of course, you do get the hardtop on the model, which is, of course, removable. It does have the portholes on the side, which were an option for 57. And the white does look really good with the red too. And if you have multiple Yatming Thunderbirds, like the 55 or the 57, these hardtops are actually interchangeable. So, as you'll see here, we can put the porthole hardtop on the 55. If I can actually get it on there. There we go. And put the 55's hardtop without portholes on the 57. Kind of hard with one hand, but you have to kind of match up the holes with this. And there you go. Hardtop swap. Super cool. And of course, for both models, the hardtop isn't really like on the car. If you turn it upside down, it will just fall right off. It's not like those Maisto like 2002 Thunderbirds where the hardtop actually clips on it as like a piece of plastic. But I like how they're actually metal pieces. They're not just, made of plastic. So I kind of prefer the material of this, but not so much like the functionality. But although it is very easy to take these on and off. Just don't turn the model upside down by accident, because the roof will fall right off and potentially get damaged. But not a big deal, I guess. It is kind of cool to look at these from this sort of angle here. Oh, you do actually have working steering on the model. There's a steering wheel kind of turning too. Cool touch. In terms of opening features, we'll start back here with the opening trunk. And the wheels do bow out on this one. I thought it was just an issue with the 55, but no. Yeah, they do. They really do bow out. You have to kind of like push them up like this. Same thing with this. Then it kind of stands up straight. But then slightest touch, you see it just bows right back out. I assume they might have fixed this with newer versions of both these models, but I'm not too sure. But anyway, yeah. So in terms of opening features, we'll start back here with the opening trunk, which opens up like so. Not too much to see in here. It is kind of like a smooth, sort of shiny texture. I don't know if that's necessarily accurate. I mean, the actual dimensions and size and shape of the trunk is accurate, but I feel like it ought to be maybe like a rougher texture in here. Unless these trunks didn't have carpeting on the 55 to 57 models, not really too sure. But, I mean, what you have in there, I think, is okay. It's kind of, molded in nicely in there and everything. You do have kind of the wide dogleg hinge holes back there, but they kind of have to put those in, so I wouldn't say that that's a big deal or detracts from any of the detail. And they do actually fully paint the underside of this trunk lid here, which is nice to see. And unlike the 55 Thunderbird, this actually does stay open like this. It doesn't just fall closed. The engine detailing, of course, you do have the opening hood. The engine detailing, I would say, is actually very well done. And they do accurately make the visual changes to the engine on the 57 model. You can see there's differences already with how like the main block is set up and everything like that. I think they made some changes like horsepower and everything, so as a result you have kind of a different look to the engine in both cases. What's interesting is that you see where the battery is and stuff here with the Ford symbol. This is the same on both models, which is kind of cool to see, as is the other side here, but the center portion and like the fan and everything, they're a little bit different on the models, which is kind of cool to see. You have kind of a hose going all the way around here on the 55, and on the 57 here, you kind of have it just sort of sticking out the front and connecting to this front fan here. But I mean, the overall detailing, I would say, is actually very well done. You have kind of the Thunderbird inscription on either side of these two chrome pieces here. It is, of course, a multi-piece engine, just like the 55 here. Maybe less actual pieces that are used as opposed to this engine, but still, I think it's accurately detailed for the most part. There is some missing, you know, wires and hoses and other stuff, but it is a budget model, so you're not going to see like every little thing in there in that sense. But I mean, you can see all the way down to the bottom of the car, and they do accurately mold the main block here. You have kind of the red, black, and chrome going on. And because this is a red car, it really does look great in the engine here to have kind of like the sort of matching red with like the red paint. The red would have been red on all the versions of the Thunderbird. Just so happens that this is a red exterior paint version, and it kind of matches up well with this engine in here. And you have that kind of chrome fan in the front there too. I doubt the fan would have actually been chrome on the real car, but it is kind of cool that that is chrome on here, so it sort of stands out a little bit. But yeah, very, very cool. And of course, you do have the opening doors on the model. They open up on kind of these wide dogleg hinges. The doors definitely do feel much stronger compared to the doors on the 55. But again, I have owned this 55 since I was like 4 or so. I've opened these doors countless times. This one definitely was probably displayed on a shelf for most of its life, and I can tell by how stiff all the opening parts are, and just the overall like near perfect, flawless condition that this is in, despite being like a loose model. But on the interior detailing, I would say is actually very well done. I love on the dashboard how they have that kind of lined pattern going on up there, and it actually has kind of like a realistic texture to it. And the seats are also very well done, or seat, I should say. It's molded as a single bench seat, as you would see on the real car, and you have kind of 2 different textures going on too. And this sort of black and white pattern was an option on the real 57 Thunderbird. They did kind of change the overall look and shape of the seat, as you'll see when comparing it to the 55. You have sort of a different, you know, shaped bench, maybe a little bit bigger too, or, you know, more cushioned and all that. So it does look very well done. And I do like their inclusion of kind of the 2 different colors on here too. Yatming did release a version of this model that had a real like leather seat in it. They had a series called the Leather Series where they were kind of lower like production models, and they had actual like leather seats in them, which is kind of cool, but I don't think the seat looks too accurate on that version of the model. So if you want a, you know, a better looking or more accurate looking seat, then get the regular version, which is what I have here. But overall, awesome job with the seat. And on the floor, you do have kind of these nice textured like floor mat features, which are very, very cool. On this one, you see kind of the same thing, kind of like a lined pattern going on these kind of molded in mats, which is a super cool touch. And you have the little kind of chrome shifter in the center there. And they do a nice job with the dashboard detailing too. You have kind of those molded in buttons for the radio and everything. I guess they could use a little bit more, you know, coloring, but I like how the knobs are actually molded as like 3-dimensional knobs. It looks like you can actually turn them. A very cool touch. And they do a nice job with the steering wheel too. Has an accurate overall shape to it and size. You have kind of a nice kind of chrome in the center there. There is a tachometer on here, oddly enough, and it does move with the steering wheel when you turn it, which is kind of a flaw with this model, I guess. It's probably just a factory defect. I might try to go in there and take this out and put it back in so it's like properly fastened, but I may just leave it. I'm not really, you know, steering the wheels on the model too much if it's up on my shelf, but yeah, just wanted to put that out there. The door panels are very well detailed on the model here too. You have kind of the nice texture for the white portion and for the black portion going on there. And a nice separately cast door handle too, which is a very cool touch. So yeah, I am very happy to have 2 of the first gen Thunderbirds in my 1/18 scale model collection. And in terms of, you know, if you want either one of these, it really comes down to like what year of the T-Bird you want and like which color you actually want it in. I would actually recommend both of these over the Motormax and Revell versions that I mentioned, because the Revell versions are a little bit harder to find and they don't come with the hard tops. And the Motormax versions are decent looking, but the hard top does not come off. And they have pretty inaccurate paint colors and interior colors. But if that doesn't bother you too much, if you do want to have like a 55, a 56, and a 57, then I would definitely get both of these in whatever color you want, and then get either, the Motor Max or the Revell version. I think the Revell version is better than the Motor Max in terms of accuracy and overall quality. But, it's really cool to have these different, kind of budget Thunderbirds to add to your scale model collections. But overall, if you can find this 57th T-Bird for a good price online, I would say I'm definitely get it. Aside from eBay, you can find this on sites such as Amazon and Diecast Model Wholesale, because it is actually still being made. You'll just see it in different colors. I don't think the red with the white top is being made at this point, but you can find it in the dark blue that I mentioned still. As always, I hope this video was helpful, and feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on this Thunderbird here. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.